Тут є також прес.
We have here press release which contains all details about the agreement which will be signed here in a moment.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll now have an official signing ceremony of the new EU UNDP agreement for the. Хто? Це охорона.
That's security guard, yeah?
And this is a new program for the Eastern Ukraine. So, Commissioner, Ms. Lubrani, you are welcome to sign the agreement.
And we will explain afterwards what it is. Today's date is 9. Thank you. So.
And now, as announced, we will have both signatories having a short press statement about this agreement that was just signed. So let me ask Mr. Hahn, Commissioner Hahn, to deliver his press statement.
Well, welcome to everybody again, in particular to you, Mrs. Lubrani, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, allow me to congratulate you, Mrs. Lubrani, and on your new position as United Nations Resident Coordinator in Ukraine, and I wish you all the best in this new task. It's a huge challenge because you are more or less the representative of the UN here in Ukraine. And I'm particularly happy to present here in Ukraine and to sign this contract, which is at the heart of the European Union's reform-oriented support to the people affected by the conflict in the eastern areas. Today we sign the central component of a 50 million euro program for the revitalization of eastern Ukraine. And this 25 million program will be implemented by UNDP, and it will offer support to displaced universities and colleges, to the regional health system, to small companies and entrepreneurs, as well as to people affected by violence and deprivation. With this program, we hope to contribute to the government-controlled Donetsk and Luhansk regions' integral participation in Ukraine's ambitious reform program, while also providing them with the support they need to cope with the impact of the conflict. These regions, as this entire country, have demonstrated deeply impressive resilience in the face of challenges that we believed impossible in Europe in the 21st century. Let me also use this occasion to address our wider concerns regarding the deteriorating security situation in eastern Ukraine. And I have to say the EU's position remains firm. We support Ukraine's independence, sovereignty, and territorial integrity. The situation around the Sea of Azov is high on our agenda, including discussions of EU foreign ministers in the 10 days in Brussels at the next Foreign Affairs Council. Important EU support is already ongoing in several areas. Let me highlight the following ones: support to the decentralization reform with a regional center to train local staff in Mariupol, financing of street lighting in Mariupol, rehabilitation of critical water supply networks and wastewater local infrastructure in Berdyansk and Mariupol. We have additional support in the pipeline with the program that we sign today, and we look forward to continue working with, among other partners, the United Nations, with whom we signed the important program for support to Eastern Ukraine today. But, ladies and gentlemen, let me also use the opportunity to convey my condolences to the family and friends of Katarina, which passed away only a few days ago after an awful, terrible and condemnable attack a couple of weeks ago. This is something which we are all, and I personally, deeply shocked, and it's something we cannot accept, we will never accept, and we all have to work hard to clear up this crime. And it's not only about identifying the murders, but also to identify those who have given the order to it. This is what counts. And be reassured that the international community pays attention, is very well aware about this development, that engaged citizens who want simply to contribute to a better living conditions in Ukraine, to have pluralism, to have democracy, to have opportunities, are under attack by certain people. And this is something which will not be accepted once again, and we will do everything we can do and contribute in order to not only clear up this particular crime, but to protect engaged citizens in the future. I will propose to the authorities to set up for the future a task force at the SBU, for instance, to deal with such cases on a national level in order to guarantee, so to say, highest professionalism, hopeful integrity, transparency, and also the opportunity to the international community to follow up on these cases. Sorry that I have used this opportunity. Also, we have a positive message, but I hope what I have said will also contribute to future more positive messages when it comes to protect individuals who fight for better living conditions here in Ukraine. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mrs. Lubrani, can we ask you to take the floor and deliver your press statement?
Dear Commissioner Hahn, representatives of the European Union, my colleagues from FAO, UNDP, UNFPA, and UN Women, dear ladies and gentlemen, the United Nations is absolutely delighted to continue the long-term partnership with the European Union to provide much-needed assistance for the people affected by the armed conflict in the east of Ukraine. The unique contribution of 25 million euros from the European Union marks the beginning of a new phase of the UN Recovery and Peacebuilding Programme. The UN has been a partner in the earlier phase of that programme already. I'm very excited that the program will be implemented as one UN family. UNDP is a key implementer, but we are doing it all together, the UNDP, UN Women, UNFPA, and FAO, in line with the United Nations commitments to address collectively the challenges that Ukraine is facing in the East. The program is in line with the reform agenda of the country. It will address key challenges that the Ukrainians are facing by focusing on one, economic recovery with special emphasis on agriculture and women entrepreneurs. Secondly, local governance support in context of Ukraine's decentralization reforms. Third, community security and social cohesion with special emphasis on women's security and sexual and gender-based violence. And the fourthly, implementation of health reforms in the two eastern oblasts. I've been already twice to the east and have seen myself how progress is already being achieved with the support of the European Union, highly appreciated on the ground. And again, I want to say on the behalf of the United Nations that we look forward to continue our fruitful cooperation with the European Union to make a difference in the lives of Ukrainian people. I too would like to join the comments made by Commissioner Hahn to just underscore that we too are very concerned on and share the condolences on the passing away of an activist, a civil society activist. From a human rights perspective, we see an important role for civil society in this country, and they should be protected and supported, and we hope that this crime will be followed up on. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much too. Now we have a very limited time to take 1-2 questions. So please, if there are any questions, please raise your hands. I see there, over there, one question. You will get a microphone.
ICC Ukraine інформаційний бюлетень. До пана Хана питання.
My question is to Mr. Hahn. During latest past in Ukraine, we hear about possible reprivatization of some enterprises. Do you think that this could become a reality, or this is just pre-election rhetoric which won't have considerable impact on the business climate? What do you think about investment climate in Ukraine, and whether this situation won't prevent further cooperation with the EU?
First, I really would like the opportunity because concerning a certain area, fight against corruption, I was critical and I'm critical, but I also would like to acknowledge what has already been achieved in the last couple of years here in Ukraine. And in particular, I would like to highlight the reforms in the health and education sector, but also on decentralization. These are really milestones in the societal development of Ukraine, and this is something I would like to stress. Second, I think it was two and a half years ago when we all together organized an investors conference here in Kiev with more than 500 participants from more than 50 countries around the world. And it has demonstrated the huge interest of international investors, companies to operate here in Ukraine. So there's a huge potential which is still untapped, and this is something which should be done, because as I said in my introduction, it's about creating in a sustainable manner jobs, opportunities, perspectives. And therefore, I welcome what has already been done in terms of privatization. I think almost 100, I agree, smaller state-owned companies have been privatized. We expect some further bigger ones, in particular those who are not, so to say, crucial for public services, for basic needs. But this has to be done in a highly professional manner with transparent terms of references, so to allow tenders which enable everybody who is interested to participate. I understand there is support by international financial institutions to provide the necessary expertise, but in principle I think it's something positive, provided indeed there are opportunities, there is equal level playing field for everybody, and it's not about the transfer of public assets in the hands of few people.
Thank you very much. There was one more question over there at the back. Associated Press.
Hello, Associated Press. As you know, there's Russia-held elections will be on the east of Ukraine in occupied regions of Donetsk and Lugansk regions. What's your thoughts about that, and is it going to be any reaction on that on Monday or now? Thank you.
Well, you know, we are very much committed to the Minsk process, and we are respecting the roadmap concerning the Minsk process. In that respect, this is not a contribution to resolve the problem, and therefore, on our side, we will certainly not acknowledge and recognize these elections.
We still have some time. У нас ще є час, то можна ще запитання задати. Там хочете? Чи? Ні.
No, if not, thank you very much.
Нема.
See you next time.